So my cancer came back. Now, I realise I've not spoken about the first time I got cancer on this channel. I was kind of waiting to rebind Hank Green's upcoming book about cancer before I brought it up. But cancer doesn't care about our schedules, and as I'm sure you've worked out from the title, mine came back, which is why I've been gone for the last 3 months. The TLDR of my previous run-in with cancer is that in 2023, I felt a little lump on the outside of my chest. After an inconclusive ultrasound and then an MRI, we found that I had a chest wall chondrosarcoma tumour. It was about the size of a can of soda, and it was growing on the inside of my chest wall, pushing between my lung and my liver. I had a pretty big operation to remove the tumour, as well as 3 ribs and part of my sternum. It took a lot of recovery, and I'm always going to feel some pain from the surgery, but it's been relatively stable since, and I've been having regular scans. Unfortunately, the latest round of scans showed some suspicious nodules growing on my chest wall lining behind my right lung. My oncologist referred me straight to the same specialist thoracic surgery team that removed my previous tumour, and the consultation for that was scheduled for 6 weeks away. I didn't know how big the surgery was going to be, and if they had to go through the same patch that they put in last time, I could be very disabled afterwards. So I dropped everything and built this workshop while I still could. What you're about to see is me racing the clock to try and get this place built before I met with my surgeon. There's a lot of time-lapse footage, as well as some vlogs mixed in here and there to explain what I'm trying to do, and also to give some updates on the cancer as and when I find out about it. I'm going to pop in from the future here and there just to give extra context, but for now, let's go back to past Phil, who is very optimistic about what he can achieve in just 6 weeks. The plan is to put my bookbinding studio here, but to do that, we need to sand down all the wood from this log cabin that I got on Facebook Marketplace. So we're going to do that, and we're going to put it into time-lapse mode while we do it, and my fiance Grace, who's behind the camera, is going to help.
Yes.
The sanding came to a dramatic end when I was able to see this gear through the plastic housing, which I don't think you should be able to do. So I can't use the belt sander anymore. I tried briefly with the orbital sander, but it's just not very powerful and I'm wasting a lot of time. So I think I'm going to swap gears and try and paint the bits I've already sanded, and hopefully the rest of the day will be a bit more productive. I've got a new belt sander on its way, and I'll get back to that tomorrow. Okay, so the day started a bit weird. I woke up and heard the sound of rustling, and I knew the gazebo was about to fly away, so I quickly came and pulled that down and then went back to bed. It's now the afternoon. I've still not got my belt sander, so I'm not able to do a lot, but it's probably for the best. I needed to rest anyway, and my dog Tundra really likes her new deck. I'm gonna restack all of this just to get it out of the way so I can start sanding again tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Okay, that's done, which is good because I can see a bit of rain coming, so I need to get this covered up. This is my alleyway of shame. I've got all of the wood from the shed that I got last year off Marketplace. It's just been stored here. Back there's some recycled plastic timber that's holding the tarp down. I've got that to act as the bottom log, both to raise the height of it a little bit because I'm 6'4" and I need the headspace, and also to act as a moisture barrier to stop the logs from sitting on the ground and just soaking up all the moisture. This paint was supposed to be sage green, but it's come out blue, which is the colour that I'm stripping off it anyway. I'll still keep stripping it off because in between sanding and painting I'm putting on a wood preserver, and that will fight fungus and insects, which is good for the longevity of the cabin. I really don't want to have to come and redo all of this in the future. The wind's picking up, I'm sure you can hear, so I'm going to get this covered, and I will see you later. So last night was really windy, and I heard a big smashing glass sound, and I knew pretty much instantly it was going to be this window here. And we checked, and it was, so I quickly blocked the alleyway off to stop my dog coming down here and left it until the morning, and now it's the morning, so I've got to clean it up. It's a bit frustrating because I've had this window sat around for about a year and managed to keep it intact, and now just before I'm going to build the shed, it's smashed and I have to find something else to put there. I cleaned that up. Now I'm going to try and sand all of these for the short wall with the door. The new belt sander arrived yesterday, but I kind of just took the day off for a rest. I kind of needed it. My legs weren't feeling great. Now I've got a bunch of sanding ahead of me, and hopefully it goes fine. I'll put you in time lapse. Okay, the time lapse cut out after a bit, but I managed to get all of the little bits sanded. These are a pain because there's just so much detail with all of the ends, and it doesn't look like a lot, but there's a lot here. I just need to paint the treatment on them, let them dry, then I'll start on the gable of the door side and the sill plate, and that's all for this side, so that'll be my second wall complete. Getting a bit tired now. I'm kind of done with sanding, but oh well. I'm sure I'll get there. Late start again today. I went to hospital to see the specialist about my surgery. All seems fine. They're happy that I'm being active and making this shed. It'll prepare me for the surgery a bit more to have some base level of fitness. But it's a really nice day, and it's a bit of a shame that I missed the morning, so I'll get back to sanding, and hopefully I'm about halfway done and I won't have to sand for much longer. Today my parents should be coming, and we're hoping to get rid of this hedge and then cut down that bit of the hedge and move the gate. And then I'll put a path down here so I can still get my mobility scooter in and out. And hopefully we'll get all that done today, but that might be a bit ambitious. It might be the whole weekend, but we'll see. So we didn't get as much done as I wanted to yesterday, kind of half the hedge, but I think it should go a bit faster today because we've got the technique down and a lot of the growth was on our side, so hopefully today goes a bit quicker, and I think I will take the tree trunks down now that they're exposed, and it'll be a bit easier to process the hedge on the ground. I'll put it back in time lapse and try again. It started to rain. I'm getting pretty tired, so I've got a friend that doesn't want to be on camera, so I'm just going to clap and it'll be done. So it's been about 2 weeks. We've taken the hedge down, put down a base of hardcore and put in the concrete forms. There's a lot of work to do still, but I feel like the hard work is done now with digging out all of that. I've got to put in some conduit so that we can run power underground. Then I'll put some sand in the middle just to protect the damp-proof membrane from the rocks and the hardcore. I'll fill around the edge with soil just to stop the forms from getting pushed open. And after that, we should be ready for some concrete. Before I start sanding, I'm going to take off the forms while the concrete's still a bit soft. And that will let me scrape off the concrete from the wood, and hopefully it goes all right. Okay, so that took the better part of the afternoon. I've got one last job, which is to find where the conduit comes into the shed. And I've blocked that off. It runs from just in front of that meter cabinet along here, and it terminates somewhere under here, which will be where the shed is. So let's knock through there and see if we can find it. So I was able to get all of the shed sanded before my appointment with the surgeon. Now I can move on to painting it, and I've got some plastic lumber that I'm going to use as the first course of timber. So I need to route a tongue and groove channel in that soon. But first I'm going to get a layer of paint on the wood. The surgeon didn't really give me any timelines, but the surgery sounds like it won't be quite as big as I was anticipating, so the recovery shouldn't be as long, which is good. Hopefully I'll be able to get the shed up soon before I know about any surgery, and then I can focus on sorting out the inside. So I'll probably put you in time lapse now, put my first layer of paint on the wood, and then get to routing the plastic. Here I'm cutting the plastic lumber to final dimension and routing some pockets for the bolts that will hold the plastic lumber securely to the concrete. Here I'm measuring the corners to make sure they're square. Then I go back in with my track saw track to mark a straight edge, as the plastic lumber is quite flexible and you need a reference mark to make sure that it's all straight as you're screwing it down. Then you just slot in the logs, layer by layer, until you've built up the structure. My mum came and helped me cut the metal insulated panels to size so we could put them up. If we didn't have to cut the panels, I reckon we could have got the roof on in a single day. But the smallest size they make them in is 3 meters, and I needed 1.5 meters, so I had to cut them all in half, which slowed us down a lot. The next day, with all the panels cut to size, they were a lot easier to move by myself, so I managed to get the other side up and put on the ridge cap, which I didn't get any footage of. The next day I ground off the ends of the screws that came through from where we installed the roof, and then I installed the window. Yeah, it's been a little while since I did an update, but I put the shed up. I kind of just had to get on with it because my surgery has been scheduled for Thursday and it's now Monday. The plan is I need to fit the door. The door frame's a little bit too short, so I need to alter that. And then I was going to caulk around the edges because the sealant tape that I got for the top plate was just horrible to work with in the heat, so we skipped it and I'll just caulk it. I've got to put some electrics in and some benches so I can work in here after the operation without lifting anything heavy. And then it should be usable. There's lots of stuff I need to do finishing touches wise, like I haven't put gutters on yet. I need to put the flashing on the edges. That's all stuff I can do later. See how much I can get done before my operation. So I guess I failed. I didn't manage to complete the bindery within the 6 weeks. It's relatively dry in here. The door's locked, the window's locked. I managed to get the electrical sockets working and a couple of the strip lights, but I wasn't able to build this bench like I wanted to so I could use the space after my surgery, and I was working until midnight the night before I went into hospital for the surgery, so yeah. The surgery went well. They managed to do everything through a keyhole surgery, They did have to remove a small portion of my right lung, but there were no major complications, and I was out of hospital after about 4 days. And for some reason, I decided to keep working the day after I got back from hospital. So let's go back to past Phil and see what that's about. So I got back from hospital yesterday. Can't really do a lot because this arm's a bit useless. I had surgery sort of on my back around here, and that's stopping what I can do. I need to finish the lighting in here. It's just LED strips, so I'm hoping I can just get those in. It's all really lightweight aluminium profile, so I'll fiddle away with that today, and then maybe when Grace has finished work, I'll get her to help me cut this sheet of plywood down, and then I can put a table top here so I can start work binding some projects. And I'm hoping to go to Comic-Con in 11 days time, and I need to get Tress of the Emerald Sea bound because Brandon Sanderson will be there, and it would be cool. That's an update from me, and hopefully it all goes to plan. So I might have overestimated how much I could have got done on my first day back from hospital, but I managed to get all the lights in just about. It was a lot of overhead work, which wasn't great for my hand. Today, I'm hoping I can sort out the desk, and then I can get on to actually binding some stuff in here. I kind of need to have a tidy up as well, but before I do that, I'll make a bunch of sawdust, cutting the legs for the desk, and then I'll get Grace's help to cut the workbench to size. I'm hoping to cut it really efficiently and just do one cut along. I've got a narrow width here that I'm going to have my secondary bench along, and that's like 500mm, and then that leaves me 720mm here for a nice deep bookbinding bench, and that's what I'm hoping to do. So I'll put it back in time lapse, and hopefully I can achieve what I set out to today. Yesterday was frustratingly slow again. I'm probably pushing myself a bit too hard after surgery, but I managed to get the legs all cut away there. I'm not a carpenter, so they're pretty rough, but they will do. There's some stuff I need to do with the workbench in the long run, but I think that will probably have to be a part 2. I just need to get the workshop functional, and then I can start binding Tress. I forgot that I need to treat the concrete now. It's been about 28 days since I poured the concrete, so to stop the dust kicking up and to give it a harder surface finish, I need to pour some concrete hardener on it today, which means I need to empty out the workshop before I can assemble my table. So I will finish cutting the last bits I need to cut, which are the stringers and then this sheet of plywood. That shouldn't take too long. Then I can tidy up in here, clean it all up. The treatment should be coming today, and then I can pour that out and leave it overnight and assemble the table tomorrow. I'll put it in time lapse for that, and hopefully it all goes to plan. Yeah. So I don't know if you can see, but there's a wet spot by that wall. That actually caused some problems. Basically, the sealant I put down when bolting the plastic lumber to the concrete didn't seal. I think that the unhardened concrete is too dusty for the sealant I use to stick to it. And when there's a driving rain against the edge of the shed, some water can kind of wick under and make the concrete inside wet. That was really frustrating because I wanted to seal the concrete and you can't do that while it's wet. So I quickly ran around the outside of the shed, putting down some plastic to stop water getting in. And then I went around with a hairdryer just to dry out the concrete so I could move on to the next step. I put down 2 coats of the concrete hardener on the inside and then mopped up any residue to stop it being slippery. Then it was just a matter of assembling the desk. So this is it. I can work in here now. Getting cancer again kind of sucked. I had a lot of hope that after the last surgery that would have been it, but it came back. Sarcoma is one of the scary kinds of cancer. The stats aren't great. It doesn't respond to chemotherapy very well, so it coming back is far from ideal. But there's a lot of room for optimism here. Although it was kind of far away from the original surgery site, stray cells from the surgery site can kind of migrate around the chest wall lining, and it's still treated as a local reoccurrence. So that's different from metastasis, where the cells start to invade other structures in the body randomly. If the surgeons did good, and I have every confidence that they did, this surgery could have cured me. But even if it doesn't, I have a really good team of specialists who have lots of tools in their arsenal. They've taken lots of samples of the tumours to genetically sequence, so if the cancer does come back, we'll know what treatments it should respond to if it's needed. But we aren't anywhere close to crossing that bridge just yet. And in any case, the one redeeming quality of sarcoma is that it's slow. It took 3 whole years for these to even show up on any scans. And when we did spot them, they were small enough that we could just suck them out through a tube. This whole ordeal has been really inconvenient for me and my family, but it's not a death sentence, and I'll be around for many years to come yet. But I won't complain if you throw a sympathy subscribe at me so that I can get a better shot of making a success of this channel before the big C comes to get me in the future, if it ever does. The bindery is by no means finished. I still need to do the roof flashing and gutters. I haven't permanently sealed the bottom to stop water coming in underneath. The window is very temporarily screwed in. I still need to make the opening bigger so the sill can fit in. I need to change out the door to be thresholdless and just a bit better quality. I need to get it permanently wired in and inspected by an electrician. And even after all of that, there's still a whole bunch of other improvements I want to make to the space. So please do give this video a like if you want to see more of that. I'll probably make building the bindery into a series, so there will be lots of videos in the future. Also, at time of recording, I have bound that copy of Tress of the Emerald Sea. I posted about it on my other social media if you're impatient to see how that turned out. I will post a video about it here soon, of course. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. See you next time.